Hey, you're watching Fat Man DD1, you dingus. Whatever he said.
This is your boy Fat Man DD1. All right, we about to get into something, and I just wanna say this. Nick Cannon had a conversation on his podcast. He was talking about some stuff, and without me trying to explain it, none of it was, in my point, none of it was extremely damning or bad. He was having a conversation. He was speaking out from, I'm guessing, things that he's read, things that he has looked up, things that he has researched. Nick Cannon is very well educated. He's made a lot of money. He's created Wild Nuts, he's created business. He's worked with Viacom since he was 16, going back to his days of being on All That. I think he's the longest person to work with Viacom since the All That cast. Let's get into the skinny of this, and let's move forward, shall we? We're starting with the video that is bringing all the controversy. This is why Viacom fired Nick Cannon. This is why they don't fuck with Nick Cannon. This is probably everything under the fucking sun. And I gotta be honest with you, it can't be that bad, but at the same time, you don't know and I don't know the circumstances of what it means to work for a big company like Viacom. So I'm put on headphones. We can just gonna dive right into this, shall we? Let's go.
So let's go to what it really is then. When we talk about the power of melanated people, when we talk about who we really are as guys, and understanding that our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it. So then when you see what Dr. Francis C. Welsman talked about is that fear in that
just genetic annihilation,
that deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. Melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul, that we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear, they're acting out of low self-esteem, they're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. Because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals.
Right.
So they're the ones that are actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages. And then they built up such this
bravado.
I don't want to say warrior, but they built up such this conquering barbaric mentality that they're coming out of Europe. They then said, in order for us to survive, we have to take what's not ours. And then they went into the land that actually where we are originated, and instead of trying to make friends, they said, we want what you got, because there's this mentality of whether it's the Caesars or even that we have to conquer.
Right.
So I say all that to say the context, and when we speak of whether it's Jewish people, white people, Europeans, the Illuminati, they were doing that as survival tactics to stay on this planet.
Right, because
we never had to do that.
Right, because they've learned when they circumnavigated the globe and they ran into these islands and these places, and we were already there to greet them.
Right, with open arms.
With open arms, teaching them, but then when
they were deficient.
They were deficient, so they wanted to get what they thought we had, and we did have it. So the rape took place of the woman. The theft took place of the natural resources.
And then that's when their disease.
Exactly.
That's where their mentality, because I'm trying to get to that place of how they were able to get control over the gods. How they were able to get control over their original.
Okay, so once they learned that, though, and now they raped and impregnated, left and came back, and they saw the child lighter, they said, wow, That's when they
This
learn
is how
genetics, genetic annihilation. So now you have to set up a system of white supremacy to control that.
Right.
So now we have 13 families here, Illuminati that's manipulating and controlling. Subgroups. Now we got to set up organizations.
Coming out of Europe.
You understand what I'm saying? And for that same system, now you're talking about survival, what you just laid out. Now it's fight or flight. Now we have to set up these systems in order to survive.
Right.
But listen, not just survive to get some damn some hamburger buns and some cheese. I'm talking about on a genetic level.
On the genetic, because they will, and that's even from the white nationalists to the white supremacy mentalities to Donald Trump himself wanting to build walls.
Right.
They're trying to keep their what they consider purity.
Exactly, on a subconscious
they're trying to stay
level.
alive.
Because sometimes they don't know why they acting out.
It's just been proven. It was National Geographic just put it out by 2050. Every person will be a person of color.
In a minute.
They saying that's as soon as 2050.
Now, looking at this, I can kind of understand what happens here. Nick Cannon is having a conversation. This is all it is. It's a conversation. It's something to be had when it comes down to this. All I hear with all of this is a conversation to be had. He's having a conversation with someone. He's talking it out. But then things go even further. And I do say things go even further than this. I'm not going to lie to you. When it comes down to what's happened afterwards, or Nick Cannon so-called had to apologize for Viacom. Now, it gets into this. And this YouTuber does break it down, so I don't have to, find anything and copy. I ain't going to Facebook and having the text translator read all this. So I'm going to let someone read it.
Statement. I am deeply saddened in a moment so close to reconciliation that the powers that be misuse an important moment for us all to grow closer together and learn more about one another. Instead, the moment was stolen and hijacked to make an example of an outspoken black man. I will not be bullied, silenced, or continuously oppressed by an organization, group, or corporation. I am disappointed that Viacom does not understand or respect the power of the black community. My time at Viacom also birthed one of my greatest creative accomplishments, their longest running comedy series and the most successful hip-hop programming in television history, Wild 'N Out, an idea in which I self-financed out of my pocket and presented to MTV. I created a billion-dollar brand that expanded across a multi-tiered empire that is still Viacom's biggest digital brand. Touring business, talent discovery and incubation system, and successful restaurant franchise. Based on trust and empty promises, my ownership was swindled away from me. For Viacom to be so deceptive is no surprise. They have been mistreating and robbing our community for years, underpaying talent on their biggest brands like Love and Hip Hop, all of BET programming, and of course, Wild 'N Out. I don't have to defend myself here, the proof is in the history. I also went as far to reach out to Miss Sherry Redstone, the owner of Viacom, to have a conversation of reconciliation and actually apologize if I said anything that pained or hurt her or her community. Dead silence. So that's when I realized they don't want a conversation or growth. They wanted to put the young Negro in his place.
So, in my case, he was gonna talk to Sherry Redstone. He was gonna have an open dialogue with her, an open conversation. Hey, if I said something wrong that didn't vibe with you, you didn't fuck with, let me explain myself and let me talk about it. Because I see it as he had a conversation that was planted firmly in the dirt. That conversation, which he's speaking facts, is none of the stuff he's saying is outlandish, crazy. White people aren't from the Caucasus Mountains. That stuff is all natural facts and truth. That's science, my nigga. Everything he's speaking is true. But what he's also saying is white people don't have melanin in their system. They're more angry. They're lacking deficiency. They're lacking something. And when they see black people aren't lacking what they are lacking, it's a problem. It's a fight. It's fucked up. And he's not saying all Jewish people are the same. He's not saying that. He's like, whoever you want to call it. If you want to call it a Jewish person, European, white nationalist, or whoever you want to call it, they're lacking something. But in reality, it's Illuminati, all that stuff, the Rothschilds, people are connected to money. They see that there's systems to be put in place for these people not to rise up. He's having a conversation about that. He's basically spitting and talking about it. Nerd Ass Newsstand got me mad because once I seen her thumbnail, I didn't click on her video because I knew it would have been some bashing shit. She calls Nick Cannon garbage. Stop, girl. Next time, come to me and have a conversation so I can tell you what really go down, because you be overstepping sometimes. And I'm not going to say it's lack of education, it's lack of understanding. Like, hey, he's just having a conversation. He doesn't mean this. He's having a conversation with somebody. This could all be stuff that's written down, all stuff that's put out there. It's not anti-Semitic. It's just, I'm having a conversation with somebody, understanding their mindset, talking to them in the way they speak and the way they learn, but also learning that this history goes further than just what we're taught in our textbooks. That's a simple fact. It's true. Science, biology, all that shit, it's real. It's hardcore facts. White people come from this island, black people come from this island, Native Americans came on this land, Japanese, Asian people, and everybody else on that side. Once Pangea was there, we all separated. Different islands, different everything, different ethnicities, different growth, different skins, different languages. Come on, bro. Different ways of education, Matt. Are you for real? Think about it for a second. Like, everything he's saying is 100% a conversation. It's true. He's not damning anybody. He's not cutting anybody's ass. He's not belittling anybody. He's having a conversation. He's making points. He's giving experience and facts, but he is careful with his words because he's saying this isn't all white people. This is for those who have raped and pillaged America. This continent we live on didn't belong to us. It belongs to other people. That is 100% fact. Everyone on this land, everyone who's so-called born here, we are all descendants of immigrants, African-American immigrants, white immigrants, Irish immigrants, whatever you want to say it. Everyone on this land don't belong here. That's a straight-up fact. That's a fact. That's 100% fact. Christopher Columbus stumbled upon America by accident. He was trying to get to India. He didn't wind up India. He seen Native Americans, and he called them Indians. That's why that name happened. Let's get straight from the core of it all. He's saying the people who've raped, pillaged this land, who had a lack of deficiency, a lack of compassion, a lack of opening up to people. They saw the black people as savages, Native Americans as savages, hunters and gatherers are savages. People who plant their own food, who have herbs, who know how to use herbal holistic medicine are savages. But you with the guns, you with the diseases, you with the horses, you with the boats, you aren't the savages because you come here, rape, pillage. He has a point. They're making points, and that is all factual. You can't tell me it's not, but he's having a conversation. His open dialogue on his podcast was taken advantage of and slandered. So anyone out there saying, oh, Nick Cannon, he's a racist. No, Nick Cannon had a conversation on his public platform. Anybody could tune in on it. He was just in Harlem a couple days ago over here and walking with the people, taking pictures and talking. So you're telling me Nick Cannon's a racist asshole? No, he's explaining and having a conversation on his podcast. You may not like the conversation. You may not like what he's saying, but none of it is anti-Semitic. He's not pointing at a race and saying, fuck white people now. No, he's saying fuck the ancestors who didn't have the compassion, the soul, the energy, the respect to come to people who had open arms for them and grow and build with them naturally. No, you had a lack of sunlight, melanin deficiency, you were evil, you were dickheads, and you people who came here and destroyed things. It's true. He's not lying. He's telling the truth, but he's also having that conversation on his platform. People are taking it and saying he's being racist to white people and racist in general. No, he's having an open discussion. And that open discussion is being dragged out, as he's saying. And people want him to apologize. For what? Having an open discussion on my free YouTube platform where you can come watch my podcast. But then at the same time, he's praising certain people who've said anti-Semitic things. No, he's praising their ideal thoughts and conversations. But the anti-Semitic stuff he may not agree with. He may not. We don't know that. He may not be like, oh, I didn't say anything anti-Semitic. I just had a conversation on my podcast. Everybody's tripping. And that's what I believe. You're tripping over nothing. But that's the fact. That's what people are scared of.
Wanted to show me who is the boss, hang me out to dry, and make me an example of anyone who says something they don't agree with. Still, I honestly can't believe that Viacom has such poor counsel that would allow them to make such a divisive decision in the midst of protests and civil uprising within our current pandemic.
He has a point.
Truly an unwise decision. For them to take it one step further and flat out lie in their official press release, saying that I didn't attempt to reconcile the situation when on 2 separate occasions I specifically acknowledged and openly requested a forum to be corrected. My hope and original goal was to use this moment to show healing and acceptance and prayed that Viacom will use their powers for good. Instead, I am now receiving death threats, hate messages, calling me an ungrateful nigger, and beyond. Viacom's goal to keep me from providing for my family and lineage will be foiled. They can try to kick me while I'm down or force me to kiss the master's feet in public for shame and ridicule. But instead, I stand firm on my square with my fists in the air, repeating my mantra, "You can't fire a boss." I must apologize to my Jewish brothers and sisters for putting them in such a painful position, which was never my intention. But I know this whole situation has hurt many people, and together we will make it right. I have dedicated my daily efforts to continuing conversations to bring the Jewish community and the African American community closer together, embracing our differences and sharing our commonalities. If I have furthered the hate speech, I wholeheartedly apologize. But now I am.
He apologizes. He said, if I have furthered the hate speech, I apologize. He has apologized. I'm not reading this wrong, my nigga. Am I reading this wrong? If I have furthered the hate speech, I apologize. What is he saying wrong? You know what I'm saying? He said if he's furthered the hate speech, he humbly apologizes. He apologizes. I don't understand what happened here. No.
The one making demands. I demand full ownership of my $1 billion Wild 'N Out brand that I created,
$1 billion.
and they will continue to misuse and destroy without my leadership. I demand that the hate and the backdoor bullying cease, and while we are at it, now that the truth is out, I demand the apology.
Shouts to this YouTuber. Mans is always doing good work. I appreciate this. And then we go on for Viacom. Viacom has something to say about it.
Getting the big news last night that Viacom CBS, which had a relationship with Nick for decades, said that they are dropping ties with him, saying in a statement yesterday, Viacom CBS condemns bigotry of any kind and we categorically denounce all forms of anti-Semitism. We have spoken with Nick Cannon about an episode of his podcast, Cannon's Class on YouTube, which promoted hateful speech and spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And adding, while we support ongoing education and dialogue in the fight against bigotry, we are deeply troubled that Nick has failed to acknowledge or apologize for perpetuating anti-Semitism, and we are terminating our relationship with him. We are committed to doing better in our response to incidents of anti-Semitism, racism, and bigotry.
Now, wholeheartedly, I see where all this has left people. And this is coming from a black man that lives in the hood and who is educated from a standpoint. Nick Cannon said nothing wrong. He had a conversation. He just apologized. We see that he even says he apologizes if he has furthered the hate speech. Now, if everybody out there who does not agree with Nick Cannon, agree with what he said, agree with anything that he is, listen, I don't care. The man said nothing wrong. If having a conversation on a podcast, and I have a podcast too, you can go check it out. It's Life of a Nerd right there on YouTube. You go check it out. It's a podcast. Well, me and my friends talk about whatever we want, from the nerd community to we could not talk about what happened with George Floyd, and we did. And we fucking did. We had a whole conversation there with George Floyd. When it comes down to it, there are certain things you cannot ignore. Nick Cannon did not ignore this. Nick Cannon challenged this. Nick Cannon pursued this. Nick Cannon had a conversation about this. Regardless of what you believe, how you feel, you can say he's racist. Black people, sometimes, I've met some black people who said some very racist shit. But at the same time, can we be racist? Yes, but to an extent, we don't have the full-on power. What I mean by power, we didn't come to this land, rape and pillage and destroy. We didn't go to Africa, rape, pillage, and destroy Africa. If it was the other way around, if African people went across to Europe, raped, pillaged, did all that crazy shit, took them on boats, brought them back to Africa, rebuilt cities, and do all this other shit, and took more land from other people, killed all the Egyptians, all that other crazy shit. Would we have power? Yeah. Because he is stating the white people of Olden did some crazy shit. They came, they raped and pillaged this land, where America stands now, which the Native Americans used to live here. They raped, pillaged, and burned and destroyed people and took them from their homelands, he's not lying. Nothing he's saying is not a straight fact. That's all in the history books. You can go read that yourself. It's fucked up, but it's true. There is some very dark parts of history, and it's all been written down. It's all been documented. It's all true. Now, what is he saying is fucked up? No. Is he having a conversation on his own public platform where he can be automatically cut down the sides, discriminated against, called a racist, called ungrateful nigger? Yeah. Because that's the world we live in. Nick Cannon, who a black man, who right now we're black people are trying to fight for our rights to make sure police don't just gun us the fuck down. Now we have to put Nick Cannon on a pedestal and say, look at him, disrespectful, all that. Are you for real? I'm not even going to go there with most people. He's having a conversation. He opened up the dialogue. And he just apologized to Jewish people and other black people. Hey, if I am furthering the racist rhetoric, I apologize. That's not my intention. What are we doing here? What are we having a conversation for? Why am I making this video? Because people are taking it out of context. Viacom is taking it out of context. He even states he tried to have a conversation with Viacom, but then they wanted him to apologize. For what? I had a conversation on my public platform. You're coming to me, judging me for my public platform because I work with you. And you're thinking these are inherently our ideas. No, these are not your ideas. They're not. These probably aren't even his ideas. This is just more added to the conversation. Number one, of history. Number two, what's happened in history. Number three, what he and other people have read that's already been documented and that's out there. You can't tell me the white people who didn't come to Africa and to this continent did not rape, pillage, and murder. You can't say they didn't, because you're probably going to make the same excuse. Oh, those people were savages. It doesn't matter. It fuels the conversation even more when you say these people were savages. He just adds on to the white people who did all this other shit were savages. Don't matter the amount of education they've had. Doesn't matter the amount of this and that they had. They've destroyed lives. They've destroyed homes, families, and they have continued to do that. Is he lying? No. He's adding to the conversation. But what do you think? Do you think stuff that Nick Cannon has said was racist? Do you think everything in what I just freaking watched was wrong? But do you not believe in the standpoints? But do you understand where it's coming from? Let me know what you think in the comments below. You may not like this video. I wanted to talk about this and really analyze this from a perspective because there's so much that's happening. I really want to get the little bits of it. You know what I'm saying? He apologized. He said it to the Jewish community. Hey, that wasn't my intention. This wasn't my goal. It's not. What do you guys think in the comments below? Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? This is your boy Fat Man DD1. Remember to never give up, never surrender, and keep on grinding. Make sure to wash your goddamn hands. Stay away from grandma and grandpa. I love you. Thank you so much. We are growing this channel. I believe we are going to hit 1,000 subscribers. I don't know when. I probably won't after making this video. I may look crazy for this one, but I want to have the conversation because Nick Cannon had an open conversation. Everyone should have an open conversation and dialogue, and you should never be censored. That's what I believe. He was exercising his freedom of speech. That's just all it is. And he had a conversation. Does he believe anything he said? Probably not, but he's learned, he has education, and he has further even said it. This is not what I believe in, but I will apologize for extending a conversation of racism. And that's all you can ask for. That's all people wanted. He apologized. Get the fuck over it. This is your boy Fat Man. Peace, and I'm out.
Shit.
Gambino on drum.
This is the last one.
You little niggas gonna stop acting like my shit ain't the grill.
This is the last
Some
one.
of you niggas get your front teeth for grills. And I ain't talking about the contract.
Ain't loving these fake hoes. Room smelling like 8 switches. Room service like 2K. NBA, I'm ballin', nigga. All them niggas falling like all them niggas. Talking shit, I saw them niggas. Now they daughter want a picture. Rough, ain't it? Fuck famous.
Yeah, man.
Niggas too real, got the most haters. Wrote a story so Stephen Curry. How it feel to be golden.